A view mode in Drupal is a set of fields in sequence that are organized for a particular display of content data. By default, there are two view modes. That would be the default mode, which is the mode that's used if no other view mode is called for, and which we have been seeing already when we click through to full page display of a content node. There's also a teaser view mode, which we've been seeing when we look at the front page. But there are additional view modes available, including a full content mode, which you could use to override the default view mode to change how a node displays when you click through for full page display. And then there are other modes that are beyond the scope of this foundation, but you would use a view mode to control the fields available to an RSS field, the fields available for a given content type, for search indexing and search results, as well as the fields for a given content type that are made available through the tokens module that we've mentioned. You add a new view mode from the Manage Display tab. If you are on that tab, you would see a region at the bottom to add custom display settings, and you can add any one of these view modes that we've mentioned. Once you do so, then another toggle will appear in the upper right-hand corner where you can click through and see a field list just as we've seen, for example, for the default view mode. When customizing a view mode, you have a few different choices. So, for example, any one of the fields may be displayed or may be hidden. So I could drag hidden fields that are not currently part of the display in this view mode into the displayed area. You can also control label positioning. It could be above, inline, or hidden, as we'll see. You can also format individual fields in various ways that are particular to that field type. So, for example, our description field is going to display its summary, if there is an explicit summary, or trimmed content from the body text of that particular field. And so you'll find this wheel cog button to the far right that allows you to modify the particular display settings exposed by a particular field type, for example, to change the trim length for trimmed display of this field. Let's jump in and work with this a little bit. So in my text, I've modified my Siddhartha node so that it matches my other node, since we want to look at the display of it in summary mode. So I'm going to go through and modify my content type. I'm going to go to Manage Display. And first, I just want to work with that teaser view. It's one of the two default view modes. I'll click on Teaser, and we'll see here the list of all possible fields and see that currently only the description is being shown. But I want the author name to show in teaser mode. So I'm going to drag it into the upper part and position it above the description. And for the moment, I will set its label to appear above the field. I'll save that change, go back out to the main page of my site, and I now see that author name Hermann Hesse appears above Siddhartha, followed by the default display of the text itself. Let's work with this a bit more. I'm going to go back to my book content type, Manage Display, and go to my teaser view mode. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the author name label. I'll make it hidden. And I also want to change the display of the summary from a trim length of 600. I'll click through to edit this value, change the trim length to 200, update that setting, and then save these settings for my teaser. Go back out to the main page, and now we see the teaser appears with name and with author name, but it has a shorter summary. Now if I click through to the content itself, what we're seeing now is the default view mode, which is displaying my fields in the order in which they're listed for the default view mode. Let's work with this a bit. I'm going to go to Structure, Content Types, Manage Display, but in this case I'm going to add a new view mode. I'll go to my custom display settings and say that I want to override the default and have an explicit full content view mode. I'll save that change, and now we have a view mode for full content. I'll click through to that view mode, and I'm going to rearrange by placing my book cover first, followed by my author name and my genre. And in this case, I'm going to hide the format. Perhaps we use that only for reporting purposes, or I don't want it to display here. But I also see that I have my labels all appearing above these three fields. Well, I don't want a label for my book cover, nor for my author name, but I will leave a label for genre, but I'll change it to display inline. I'll save these changes, then go back to the main page of my site, click through the title of one of my teasers, and now I see the full page display begins with my book cover, author, and so on, just as we specified, and there is no format on display in this particular view mode.